This is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, today we are doing a side-by-side comparison, and these are two of the best phablets you can possibly buy right now, and that is the iPhone 7 Plus and the Galaxy S7 Edge. So we will compare these two on every category and see which one really is the best device for you. So we will have them in separate videos as well, so if you just want to see a few key videos, make sure to check out just those. But if you want to see which one is the best overall phone for you, then see which one is going to be the better for you in the categories you care about. Now when it comes to look and feel between these two devices, they both have had a slight refresh in comparison to last year's models. So for the iPhone 7 Plus, in terms of the look, the front is pretty much the same except for the now non-physical home button that they have changed, but the back is a slight difference. We have a different color on here, but the biggest thing is going to be the dual lens camera. The different color is something, and you do have, of course, the gloss version instead of the matte black. But the gloss one, in my opinion, is a waste of money because either it's going to get really scratched up, you'll have to cover it with a case, or you put a wrap on it which is going to peel off. So I would say the matte black is the best color in my opinion. It hides the antenna lines the best, and it overall looks the best. Now when we go to the left side over here, we have the S7 Edge. So this one is definitely better than the S6 Edge from last year, which was a smaller phone, and this one has gotten bigger, but not quite as big as the S6 Edge Plus from last year, which was a mouthful. This one has a glass backing, and as you can see, both of them are susceptible to fingerprints overall, which isn't the nicest thing, but in terms of overall design, Samsung has definitely taken it away over the past 2 years. Now before, Apple always won the look and feel category, but really overall in the look category, Samsung just has a stunning design. Whether it's curved on the back or the front, it just looks amazing and definitely stands out overall. It's just a better overall look for a phone, and the feel of both of these feels very premium, but the overall look has to have the edge on the Galaxy S7 Edge. Now when we take a look at web browsing, the first thing we always take a look at are the displays. Now first and foremost, they are both 5.5-inch displays. However, the main difference comes from the screen resolution and pixels per inch. On the iPhone, you have a 1080p display with a 401 pixels per inch, but on the Galaxy S7 Edge, you have a 2560 by 1440 or 2K display, which gives you a 534 pixels per inch. So you have a much greater pixels per inch on the Samsung. Now, in actuality, although that gives Samsung a lot more to load, as you can see on the bottom of the page, you fit a lot more. The difference is going to be that you will have generally things load quicker on the iPhone because you have less processing power that's needed in comparison to the iPhone. So let's take a look and see which one loads quicker. And the iPhone 7 Plus basically finished, and whereas the S7 Edge is still loading, and there it finished. So as you can see, the iPhone 7 Plus did load quicker. Now let's see how each one moves. Both move fairly well. Pinch to zoom, looking really good on both. I'd say scrolling is a bit better on the Edge, and on the Plus it's a bit better of pinch to zoom. Now the double tap, I'm not sure if it'll work. Yes, it will. Okay. No, it doesn't seem to work on this kind of page, but let's see on this page if it will work. No, unfortunately the iPhone will not do it on a web page anymore. companies keep going away from the double tap. They're much more relying on the pinch to zoom more so when it comes to this. But overall, it's going to be the plus that takes the internet browsing, just because although again you can get more on the S7 Edge, overall the speed is going to be continuously better on the 7 Plus. Now when it comes to sound quality, overall in the past the iPhone has definitely been the winner between these two, and I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen here again. The iPhone has two speakers coming out, from one from the front and one from the bottom, whereas Samsung still has only one speaker coming out from the bottom. So overall, especially because the water more resistant phone is definitely going to take its toll when it comes to Samsung speakers. So let's go ahead and play them both. We'll start off with the iPhone, then switch to the Samsung, go back and forth.
Come on, I'll be your hero, baby. If you let me, I promise I will be there for you in your time of need, in your darkest hour, on your brightest day. I will be there for you, baby, when you call on me. I'll be your hero. I'll be your hero. I'll be your hero. I'll be your hero. I'll be your Spider-Man. Upside down, feeling good, kiss me in Aphrodite heaven.
Okay, so overall, when it came to the sound quality between these two, you definitely got a fuller experience with the iPhone 7 Plus. In terms of loudness, at times the instruments sounded a little bit louder on the Samsung, but definitely lacked the bass that you get on the iPhone 7 Plus. So overall, this category will go to the iPhone 7 Plus. Alright, now when we go to our video comparison, these are phablet sized phones. They're phones that you want to watch movies on, whether it be YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, whatever you want to watch them on these nice big screens. So when it comes to these two though, you have very different technologies. At least for this year, might be the last year. But iPhone is still using LCDs, which are not the best when it comes to watching movies, as all our TVs are more like this, which are LED screens. So this is going to be a video comparison between the two, and we'll play the video and see how it goes. Oops, missed it, but maybe we can get it right here. There we go. So if you were able to see that, definitely when it comes to screen quality, Samsung's AMOLED screens, OLED screens, are far superior to LCD. There's no doubt about it. If you want to watch movies, although these are the same screen size, this can have a higher resolution video on your screen, as well as definitely having the better and brighter screen when it comes to color and being able to see it outside. So in this round, it will go to the S7 Edge. Now these are two of the best cameras you can find out there, and we're going to go over the four main categories that you want to see, and that is low light, detail, color reproduction, and of course the all-important selfie. So let's get started with the first one, which is low light. Now the iPhone 7 Plus has come a long way compared to last year's iPhone 6 Plus, because the 6S Plus definitely lost this battle with the S7, but this year the iPhone 7 Plus actually has a even better low light than the Galaxy S7 Edge. So with this one, you really just do have the real big difference in low light. You can see in terms of the lighting up here, and it even has less of a lens flare than the S7 Edge had, which last year the iPhone 6s Plus had even bigger lens flare compared to the 7. So it's just a really controlled, great looking low light, and Apple's definitely stepped up their game. And even when we zoom in a little bit, you can still see a lot of the detail. Yes, a little bit of artifacting in certain spots, but overall really a great experience when comparing to the S7 Edge, which again still gets a lot of detail, but just not as much shadowing and contrast in comparison to the iPhone. And really, especially when you zoom out, that is what you want to see. So yes, overall when it comes to this, I will say that the iPhone 7 Plus is going to be the better low light category. Now, the difference is going to be with the S7 Edge and the iPhone 7 Plus. In terms of indoor lighting, you will see a difference, whereas the S7 Edge goes a bit on the warmer side and the iPhone 7 goes a little bit on the overexposed or blue hue side. Overall, I've noticed this in a couple of different indoor photos. So when it comes to that though, let's go into the actual detail. So when we zoom in, we will see in terms of the clarity, the S7 Edge really just has all of these titles pretty much clear as can be, but the iPhone struggles in a lot of them, just not having the same crispness in detail that you get on the S7. Especially on some of these, you can see like Nintendo Land, really clear and prevalent, and on the iPhone 7 Plus, not so. And as we move along, again, you can just see always a little bit out of focus. Now, just so you know, I do tap this area right here for both of these cameras to focus and then take the photo. These are all on auto settings for all of these photos. So again, when it comes to changing photo settings, of course you can change photo settings. You can really take your time, but I like to do it just how you would right out of the box. So overall, in terms of clarity and details, yes, the S7 Edge is going to take the overall clarity and detail portion of the comparison. Now, when we go to color reproduction, this is actually a very tough one. Simply because when it comes to color reproduction, the iPhone 7 Plus has one thing almost dead on, and the S7 Edge takes almost everything else. So let me explain. When we go into all the different colors here, I would say the first person, meaning Steve Harvey right here, looks more realistic here than here. Here he looks a bit off, a little bit more orange-like of a tint to it, instead of his more natural skin color. So that is really where I would say that it's going to be a bit better. However, in everything else, the S7 Edge not only does a better job of color reproduction, but it definitely contrasts better. In here, the iPhone kind of, again, stays on the lighter and blue side of the hue, so it really kind of blends in all the different shades of white, whereas the S7 Edge really differentiates them. You can see the blue white, you can see the white white, you can see the yellow white. It really is just much more differentiated. And on here, all of the people's skin tones actually look more like the cover than on here on the Apple. It tended to wash out a lot of their faces to be on the lighter side than how it actually looks in real life. So take that with overall, I cannot ignore that Steve Harvey definitely looks better here, but that the S7 Edge looks better than everywhere else. So this one will be a tie. We will call this one a tie. Overall, color reproduction is good on both, but they just go back and forth in terms of what they are. By the way, in terms of the middle right here, the green is more accurate on the iPhone and the purple is more accurate on the Samsung. So again, it's a bit of a split. Overall, I will give this a tie when it comes to color reproduction. And finally, when we go to the selfie, the selfie is definitely a tough one, especially since we like to challenge selfies and give it the hardest test to do. and that is one, give it a very dark area in the background where you have no lighting whatsoever. Both make this area a lot lighter than it actually is. And two, give it a very bright light to contrast that and see if it overexposes it or if it keeps it with the detail. And that is where we see, although the iPhone 7 Plus has gotten a megapixel boost since last time around, it does actually make the darker area look better without getting too much noise, but you definitely see a lot of masking in the line. You cannot see a clear indication of a line here, whereas you can a bit better on the S7 Edge. But definitely when it comes to not overexposing, this does a much better job. So what this represents is if the sun is behind you, you're going to get an overexposed shot with the iPhone, whereas Samsung will actually be able to take it okay. Also, in darker scenarios, you're going to get a better shot overall with the S7 Edge than you will with the iPhone 7 Plus when it comes to selfies. Now, when it comes to the subject overall, you're also going to get a much wider shot. These were both taken at the same arm's length, but the S7 Edge gets a much better shot overall, getting the no need for a selfie stick because you just get a much wider shot with the S7 Edge compared to the iPhone 7 Plus. Honestly, that's my biggest complaint about Apple's selfie taking. It is way too close. And again, these are at the same distance, so I could, stretch my arm even further to get a wider shot with either phone or get closer with either phone. But overall, that's my big complaint about the iPhone 7. It just doesn't get a wide enough selfie. In terms of the detail, both of these are pretty much on par with the other. Samsung does some touching up, so you can notice my stubble a little bit more on the iPhone, whereas Samsung kind of cleans that up. Even though beauty mode is completely turned off, it still does a bit of touch up. So overall, that is one thing you have to consider. If you want no touch up, Samsung is still always going to give you a little bit no matter what, whereas Apple will not. Overall, though, in terms of the quality, the S7 Edge just has the better overall quality. They have about the same amount of detail, whereas you can't really notice the fine hairs on my beard or anything along those lines. But overall, definitely, you're going to have the better overall representation for a lot of your selfies and in different areas for taking your selfies on the S7. So as we go back, low light goes to the iPhone 7 Plus, detail goes to the S7. These are tied for color reproduction, and Samsung takes the overall one when it comes to selfie, which means when it comes to the camera comparison, the Galaxy S7 Edge is the better one. Now, keep in mind when it comes to camera quality between these and the iPhone 7 and the regular S7, you should get similar results since the S7 and the iPhone 7 both have image stabilization. The camera on the iPhone 7 Plus has the telephoto, but not necessarily a better camera. They're the same camera now in terms of the standard one. So keep that in mind. These are the different results, and it just depends on what you need. The low light is going to be better with the iPhone 7 Plus, but overall, when it comes to everything else, you're good with the S7 Edge. If not on par, then even a little bit better. Now, when it comes to gaming, both devices have a great quality gaming experience. However, it really depends on what you like more. Yes, most games are going to be on both devices, especially the best ones, but there is a difference. And that difference is this. For Apple, you typically get the newest mobile games first. So any mobile game that comes out typically either comes at the same time or Apple gets it up to even 3 months sometimes before it. For instance, Mario Run, when it comes out this holiday season, will first come to iOS and then it will follow with Android. However, the S7 Edge does have a good quality too on Android, and that is Android is much better for emulators. So if you want to play Super Nintendo games, PlayStation games, really much longer and deep games, however, they are of yesteryear, you're going to want to go with the S7 Edge. So it really depends on which style you like more. If you like more of emulators of full-fledged games from before, then you're going to want to go with Android. However, if you want the latest and greatest mobile games, I'm probably going to go with iOS. Either one is going to play the games very well It's just going to be what's your preference. So for this reason, we'll call it a tie. Now, when it comes to battery life, both are going to be really good and should last you throughout the day. However, the iPhone definitely improved since last year, whereas the S7 Edge had a much better battery life compared to the iPhone 6s Plus last year. The iPhone 7 Plus has definitely done much better when it comes to not draining when using the device. And that was always Apple's Achilles heel. It is one of the best when it comes to when you're not using the device, it doesn't almost move at all. But when you use the device, it typically drains. And in this case scenario, it actually drained less compared to the S7 Edge throughout our testing today. So just to give you an idea, this was at 90, I want to say 98%, and I think this was at 99% or 97, 99, whichever one. They were only 2 percentages off. However, that has moved to 4 percentages off. So for that, Samsung has drained quicker than the iPhone 7 Plus. So for that reason, the iPhone 7 Plus is definitely going to have the better battery, and in our experience, it does. It really has a battery that lasts up to 1 to maybe even 2 hours longer than the S7 Edge does. Now, when it comes to the extras category, Apple has definitely stepped it up this year. They finally have IP67 water resistance, which is a huge step up. And of course, you do also have the ability to use your finger and just hold down and then be able to go to the quick settings on there. So I really like that feature. And it is on Android 7.0, but the S7 Edge doesn't have Android 7.0 yet. So, although that might be a feature that some people like and some people don't, you do have a little bit more on the S7 Edge. Overall, when it comes to extras, Samsung is still going to win this. Why? Well, for a couple of reasons. One being that, yes, you do have IP68 water resistance, so you can go for a longer period of time and deeper than you can with the iPhone 7. However, with the Edge, you can also be able to add on storage. So you can add up to a 256 gig memory card and get way more storage than you can with the iPhone. Not only that, you do have the Edge display, which, yes, you might not use just as much as you might use the ability to have the long press or magic touch or force touch or whatever the heck Apple's calling it nowadays. But the fact is that it has that as well. So for that reason, although you might not use the Edge feature, just like you might not use the Force Touch feature, you definitely are going to have the extra storage built in, which definitely helps out a lot. So for that reason, the Galaxy S7 Edge is going to win the extras category. Now, when it comes to price point, well, Apple's definitely stepped up this year. Again, the fact that they actually come with a 32 gig built-in was a huge step for Apple, and honestly, I do have to continue to give them kudos for that. When it comes to price point for that 32 gigs, that's when we see a slight difference. And that is that Apple will typically be a little bit less compared to the S7 Edge. $20 less currently right now. Okay, so with this comparison for price point, we had a little bit of an issue. See, 2 carriers had the iPhone 7 Plus at a lower price, and then 2 carriers had the S7 Edge at a lower price. So, I had to find actually just, okay, what if I just want to buy it outright? They're actually the same price. So, that being said, they're both 32 gig models. Again, kudos to Apple's for having 32 gigs as a minimum. So, yeah, they're both going to be $769. And although Apple says it should be $1 less technically right now, but we'll call that a wash for the SD card expandability. So in terms of it, though, you're getting basically the same exact phone for pretty much the same exact price. So that being said, we will call this one a tie. Both of them are going to come at the same price. Prices will vary depending on which carrier you're on and which time of month and which sale they have going on. For that purpose, we will call this one a tie between price points. All right, let's tally them up and see who won. When it comes to look and feel, the Galaxy S7 Edge just has a better overall look to it, and the feels on both of these handsets are very premium. When it comes to web browsing, you're going to have a better overall experience with the iPhone 7 Plus. It's just quicker at loading pages. When it comes to sound quality, the iPhone 7 Plus definitely has the better quality sound between the two. When it comes to watching movies, however, the 7 Edge is easily going to have the better screen for watching movies. The AMOLED screen is way better than an LCD. When it comes to camera, the S7 Edge narrowly beats the iPhone 7 Plus. Overall, the iPhone 7 Plus actually had the better low light, but when it came to detail and selfies, the S7 Edge definitely had a huge edge. However, the color reproduction was a tie, so keep that in mind. When it comes to gaming, it's going to be overall going to a tie, whether you want the later mobile games that just come out or whether you want to play emulators of high-end games from before, depends on you. When it comes to battery life, the iPhone 7 Plus is definitely going to have the longer lasting battery life, having an average about an hour longer battery life in our further testing. When it comes to extras, the S7 Edge just still has the iPhone 7 Plus beat in terms of having the greater IP60 rating, as well as, of course, having expandable storage. And when it comes to price point, both phones are about the same price depending on which carrier and which sale is live at the moment. Tallying those all up, this was a really close one, guys. I thought it was going to end in a tie, but the S7 Edge narrowly beats the iPhone 7 Plus. However, keep in mind it just depends on which categories you really like. If you want quicker web browsing, better sounding music, and a longer battery life, you're better off going with the iPhone 7 Plus. However, if you want a better look and feel, if you want a better movie watching experience, photo taking experience, and extras, you're going to want to go with the S7 Edge. Thank you as always for watching, guys. Please give a like, thumbs up down below. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.